Micah Frankel. Right now, I'm joined by FightBot Harvey Park, and 1 week from right now, he'll be preparing for his main event on the Contender Series. We're a week away. Thank you for the time, sir. How you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm good as always, man. Staying busy. There's a ton going on locally and nationally. It's crazy how busy combat sports is, right?
Yeah, it stays busy. That's good, though. That's good for the sport.
Right. Did you catch our stream this past weekend? We had the amateur kickboxing event going off the Facebook page.
I did. We had a guy from our gym, Jacob Stone, fight and win. So I got to watch that one, and was impressed with it. It was put on really well.
Right. I was impressed with your teammate. Came out there, showed a lot of poise and some nasty leg kicks.
Oh yeah. So yeah, 4-1. I'm happy for us.
Right, but also big things happening for you. I had seen that you were out in Vegas a couple weeks ago. Are you happy that this is the path that you're taking, the Contender Series?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I'm happy to fight. It don't matter. Either way, I plan on winning this one. So nothing to complain on my end.
What was the process after the title fight of finding out what was next? How long did that take?
I don't know necessarily the process. The process for me is always the same, man. It's get back in the gym, get to work, eat a little bit, enjoy my life, have some food, and then get back to work, start doing my work. And then I got my agent, Ricky, and Eric take care of it, and they let me, they make the next moves, and I'm not over there telling them or asking them for this or that. I just put it in their hands, and, they ain't let me down yet.
I had seen articles about you being the top lightweight prospect unsigned. We had done a media scrum. Did it felt like everything kicked to a different level after the title fight?
Yeah, I mean, outside of fighting, definitely more people know my name, more people, want to talk to me, want to hear what I have to say, and whatnot. So I mean, it kicked up a little bit there.
And I feel like it wasn't too long ago in the social media that we noticed you were out there in Las Vegas. I assume the Contender Series was what was going to come up. How much notice preparation have you had for next Tuesday's fight?
Oh, I've had a full camp. I mean, I'm prepared as can be. So I don't have, there's nothing I can say. I mean, I've been ready. They gave us plenty of time. I know it got announced short notice, but we've known long enough, and we just, we let them announce it, so we were on their schedule. But we've had plenty of time to train and prepare for this fight.
But looking back over the last 3 fights, the win streak there in LFA, what do you feel has been the biggest progression you've made as a martial artist?
That's a good question. It's probably just, letting the skills show more. I always say the more fights you get, and the more experience you get, the more your skills start to show. And sometimes, you could do stuff in the gym or you're good at this or you're good at that, but when you're in the gym training, you're calm and you're thinking. So, it's the experience and the composure that comes with the more fights you get. So if I had to say anything that's really grown in fighting and as a martial artist, it's just, my composure, my experience, just being able to think more in there and, actually kind of leave the brain on and be cerebral and not just, going out there and fighting off instincts, which, is still good, but it's good to be in there and actually be thinking while you're fighting as well.
How much in those early days do you think it was off of instincts and it was a little bit of playing into the atmosphere, the crowd, the lights, the moment?
I've always been pretty cerebral, but sometimes you get caught up in it, and that's the thing is, like, I feel like, earlier, especially in my amateur days, you were caught up in it. You'd get caught up in in the moment, and you'd just be doing, like, I don't know, just doing it, going like just reacting, and then now I feel like you get more experience. I'm able to make people do things I want and force them into situations, and it's an actual, a chess game now instead of just me reacting, cause and effect kind of thing. I'm making people do stuff.
And do you feel like that's really came just in the last couple fights, or has this been a few fights in the making?
Just the more and the more, like, it's just getting better and better every fight. I mean, there's probably been instances of it every fight, but now I feel like I'm just getting better and better at it, and more experience, and I'm calming down in there and fighting the way I know I can.
Going to be taking on an unbeaten Omar Morales. How much have you looked into him?
He doesn't have as much online as I do. I do got a lot more fights than him, but I think that might have to do with being, a lot of his early fights in South America. I've seen some of his fights, and he looks good. He looks like a good striker. So, I'm excited for this one.
A good striker. So you think that's going to be where he's going to want to take it and keep it, is on the feet?
I believe so. Like I said, he doesn't have as much to go off of, but that's what I think he's going to want to do.
And over the last couple fights, you've had 4 fights on national TV, a war, couple spectacular performances. Am I wrong to say I don't think people have really seen your grappling, though, at all in this time?
Not in LFA. It's been mostly striking, but yeah, I mean, I feel like that's pretty fair.
So has there been any chance that have you even noticed that it's been a little one-sided, that you've really zoned in on the striking lately?
Well, they styles make fights, and first LFA fight, Hubbard was a wrestler, so he wanted to stand up. Lavelle, we grappled a little. That was more mixed martial arts, where it was, having to rely on all your techniques and all your disciplines. And then Jalil, a wrestler, he wanted to put me on the ground. And so we, that was more sprawl and brawl. And then for the belt, he was a striker as well. But, that one was a one-round fight with lots of striking. I think if it would have went more, we'd have saw more grappling, because it was in the game plan. But, we just tested our striking out against each other in that fight, and it ended early, so we didn't get, the full game plan.
I think there is a point 4 fights ago, after at Jackson's MMA series, we were talking about maybe pulling out some spectacular techniques, having to do something wild to get noticed. And here, 4 fights later, obviously the hard work is paid off. You've gotten noticed. But do you still have those thoughts of wanting to pull out one of those spectacular techniques to secure that you'll get that contract next week?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the boss is watching. Dana White's going to be there, and you got to impress him. And, he's a fight fan. And if you look at, what impresses him, it's knockouts and just skill in general. I think so. Anything, I'm going in there to finish the fight, and by any means necessary. And if it has to be, some flying, spinning techniques, so be it. I'm okay with that.
A lot of people in the media, a lot of people on social media, they try to judge what Dana's looking for, and you'll see the criticisms after a Contender Series, and he says he's looking for killers. So does that kind of just give you a feeling of really needing to go out there to put it all out there?
Nothing changes. I'm always trying to. If you look, I'm always trying to finish fights. I don't go to decision often. So I think that just bodes well for me. That he's looking for finishes. He's looking for people who are trying to win the fight, not score more points. So that bodes really well into my style. And it's no extra pressure, because I fight like that no matter what.
Essentially, it's a crazy job interview is what's coming up. How would
Yeah,
this
that's
compare
a good way
to
to put it.
How does it compare to the other ones you've had before? Job interviews.
Job interviews. A lot more pressure. This one's a lot more transparent. Whatever the boss decides is going to be on TV, and everyone can agree or disagree. Or if you fail miserably, that's out there. If you do great, that's out there. So it's on a larger scale with some serious consequences either way. But I guess it's like all job interviews, except this one is maybe more physical consequences, win or lose.
And back to a point I made a moment ago, from when we were talking about what do you have to do to get noticed to 4 fights later now, you have this opportunity. Can you put into words how that feels?
It feels great. Anyone who is, dedicated themselves to anything, and you're striving to reach the pinnacle. You're trying to get to the top. Just this opportunity feels great, and it feels, like I feel good about it. I feel like I've earned it. I haven't took no shortcuts, and I haven't, done anything unsportsman. I've only represented myself and my character, the way I want to. And so, with that, I got my head held high, and all the hard work. It always feels good when you work hard for something. Sometimes it feels even better when it's a lot of hard work. So, it just feels good to put in the work, done it the right way, and, respected myself in the sport along the way.
What's the reaction with you and Eric when you find out that this is the next fight, that this is the next opportunity? Because every time I'm talking to you guys, the opportunity, the situation, the pinnacle, it's just getting bigger and bigger, and it's great to see with you guys having worked together for so long since day one.
Yeah, well, with me and Coach Swan, with our history, and he's been in my corner for every single fight I've had. I think we're both pretty even keeled. We expect this. We've been working for it. We're both happy and excited and ready to seize the opportunity. And Eric knows before me. I don't ever, I'm not too involved in that. So Eric finds out from Ricky, and then Eric tells me, and so we're just happy, and we're excited, and just get right to work as soon as we found out.
Any adjustments or additions to camp for this preparation?
I think just, I can't say that we have now that I'm trying to think about it, because we're working hard every camp. I mean, luckily Eric does a lot of, he comes from a taekwondo background, so I've got some good sparring in with some, more traditional martial artists, and with taekwondo and karate and things like that, which I think was important. But other than that, it's business as usual, hard work and strength and conditioning and road work, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, so that's about it.
And most importantly, what's it take to get the hand raised next week?
It just takes fighting my fight, fighting like I do, getting in there, showing a lot of heart, and throwing heavy shots, and looking for a finish. Where, as much as it is important to get my hand raised, which, we want to win, but we want to do it, and, the point of this show is to impress the boss and impress the brass and get signed. So we're looking for that as well.
You've mentioned it many times before, being a very cerebral fighter, now having competed in a couple different states thanks to LFA and got out across the country. Do you feel that that cerebralness is an aspect not everyone is bringing, having seen all kinds of different competitors now?
Some people are that way. They no matter, if they ever traveled or been on the big show, they're in there, they're thinking they're playing the game, they're trying to trap you. Some dudes are just relying on, intensity and grinding you up or their power. So, I don't know if it's going to affect them or me. Really, I don't know if it's the traveling, but the bigger the shows, the more exposure and the more you calm the nerves. I feel like the more you can think in there, and the more cerebral you can be because you're not in your own head. It's almost you're more calm. It's almost like you're back in the gym training.
And then whether or not whatever game those guys are playing, you feel like it's a chess game out there, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, styles make fights, so everyone's going to be playing a different game, trying to get to their strengths or trying to, nullify your strengths or, sometimes people both have the same strengths and they think, I'm better here than you are. Let's find out. So, it's always a game. There's always, a game inside the game, so yeah, definitely.
And then how much of a game plan fighter would you say you are, where it's more where you're sticking to a game plan or where you're trying to get to your strengths? What would you say is your style?
More fighting towards my strengths. We do come with game plans, and we do have game plans, but they're usually catered towards what I'm good at, not necessarily trying to take away what someone else is good at. So I'd say more fighting to my strengths.
What has the energy been like from the rest of the guys at the gym at Force of One, knowing that you have this opportunity, saying it? I know that seeing it. I know that you guys are a close knit bunch.
They're as excited as me and Coach are. I feel like the younger guys, the guys who might not make it to every practice, have been there more now, and it's. I feel like maybe people are seeing we know what we're doing. The hard work works. If you come in here and put in the time, and you're willing to make those sacrifices, the rewards can be really high.
And then we know on the weekends, you and Coach make the 300-mile one-way drive to come here to Albuquerque. You train at Jackson's Acoma. Also talk a little bit about what that's added to your game or what that's done for you.
That has done so much for me. Rolling with, not it does a lot for your confidence to be in there grappling, striking, and whatever we're doing on that day with dudes that you've seen in the UFC, you've seen on TV and or people that you just look up to, and so it does a lot for your confidence, and then the knowledge that's there, and my game, it's just done so much for my game. Little tweaks here and there. It's not always these huge techniques that you need. It's sometimes it's just a tiny little tweak that somebody that has the experience that or has been there and done that, they see. And so having Nick Urso in my corner and he's the guy giving me those little tips, and helping me with different techniques and not only is he technical and very knowledgeable in all disciplines, but he's a hell of a motivator too, and he's a friendly guy. So it's been great.
I was there in 2014 when you made your pro debut. So excited to watch Harvey Park get this opportunity next week on Dana's Contender Series. This has been a crazy ride for you the last 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. But I think anyone in the fight game is going to have a crazy ride to the top. Some people's might be a little less than others, but it's a crazy sport, and sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to what happens. But the best fighters always come out, and if you're good enough, people start to notice.
Of course, my friend. Best of luck next week.